This second lesson will give us a good overview of the different components of the TabEdit program. The following components will be discussed. Number 1, the tablature and notation lines. Number 2, our ruler. Number 3, the different palettes. Number 4, the menu bar. And number 5, the program options and the playback controls. Remember to keep your TabEdit program running in the background so you can pause this lesson and go to it, and at any time come back to the lesson. Now in this next section, we want to identify the different parts of our screen. As you can see, I've already entered in a tune, Red River Valley, and this is the song we're going to be dealing with throughout these lessons. The main part of the screen that we're going to be working with is the tablature line, which is found right down here. This is where we're going to be entering our notes in our arrangement. Whatever we enter down here will be reflected up here in the notation line. If we were to click anywhere on any one of these lines and hit one of our numbers, a 5 for example, you'll see that it has been reflected up here in the notation. We don't really want to do that, so we'll hit delete and get rid of it. So we have our tablature line, which is our main portion that we'll be working with. We have our notation line. Also in the middle, we have our ruler. This here keeps track of how many measures we have in our song. In this case, we have 33 measures in this song. It helps us keep track of where we're at in the song, what measure we're on, whether it's measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Also, it helps us keep track when we're arranging where we're at within each measure. In this case, the measure is set up for 8 different increments within each measure to help us keep track. The next thing we want to look at is our different palettes. When we're arranging music, we have 3 palettes to work with, 3 toolbars. You'll find one of them here, one of them over on this side, and one across the top. The one across the top is our notes palettes. This will determine when we're entering tablature, we'll be able to give each note its proper value, whether it be a whole note, a half note, a quarter note, an eighth note, and so on. If we want the computer to identify our note for us, we would just click this X. Looking down here at this palette, we have our different tools. Within here, we have where we can add chords, we can add text to our tablature, we can either undo what we just did or redo it again. We come over to this palette and we have our special effects. As we're entering a note, we can take this individual note and we can give it a special effect, such as a pull-off, a slide, a choke, a brush. We can mute the note, and so on and so forth. So we have these 3 palettes to deal with. We have more palettes than that, but we're not using them right now, so we're not going to deal with them. It would only confuse matters. Later on, we will be using those other palettes. Across the top of our screen, we have the menu bar. We have File, Display, Edit, Note, Play, Score, Window, and Help. We're not going to be dealing with everything within these menu bars, but I will show you what we will be dealing with right away. Under File, we'll be able to open a new file, start a new arrangement, or open an existing arrangement. We will be able to save our arrangement or change the name of our arrangement, or else put it in a different location. We'll also be able to print our arrangement or preview our arrangement before we print it. The rest of this page we will be dealing with later. Under Display, the main thing we want to deal with this early in the lesson is our palettes. This is the way our window is set up. Right now we have our Notes palettes, our Special Effects palettes, and our Tools palettes. The other three palettes we're not really dealing with right now. We'll get into that later. Under Edit, the only thing we want to really look at right now would be how to insert measures, delete measures, or copy measures. On Play, the main thing we want to be able to look at would be our relative speed. This is where we can click this open and we can slow down our arrangements or speed them back up again on the playback. Under Score, we will be able to give our arrangements a title. And of course, the Help menu is the same type of help menu you find in all programs. The last thing we want to look at is the second part of our menu bar. There's only two things that we want to deal with at this time, and this will be this X, which is our options. We'll be able to open up this screen and we'll have all of our different options for our whole program. And we will talk about these options as we need them. The other thing we're going to be dealing with is our playback, our MIDI playback. If we click this here, this will start our playback and it will give us more options. By clicking this, as you can hear, we've started our playback. Now we have more options. We can pause it, we can rewind it, start it over, go backwards, go forwards, or we can stop it. And this pretty much takes care of most of our screen. There's a few other small things that we will deal with as they come up in our lessons.